I'm Quentin Hatfield. I'm the Executive Director of the Wisconsin Veterans Network, VetsNet. We are an agency that collaborates with currently about 45 other agencies to find resources to help veterans and veteran families in crisis. We are not a direct service agency, but our job is to triage need and find resources quickly to help those in crisis.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of VetBizTV. I'm sitting here with Quentin Hatfield, the Executive Director of Wisconsin VetsNet. I'm going to have him share his story and what inspired him to start this awesome organization that they have, helping veterans out there in the community. Quentin, I want to thank you for having us here today and sharing your story with us.
Thank you. I'm not sure how much of a story I have, but I'm a native of Kentucky and grew up there with 6 older brothers, 4 of whom served in the military. So 5 Army and 1 Navy in our family, with a history of military service in our family, World War II veterans on uncles of both sides of the family. And spent a lot of years in a lot of places before I arrived here in Wisconsin and started work here at VetsNet.
Was the military something that was always on your radar?
Well, I grew up as a hillbilly kid in eastern Kentucky. And the military, I guess, was always on our radar because there were always military people, career military people in our family. But as far as being on my radar as something that I intended to do, I grew up, of course, in the age of draft and age of the Vietnam War. So I was drafted into the military when I was about 4 hours short of my college degree because I was working full-time and going to school part-time, and Uncle Sam said, "You've had enough time." And so I ended up serving in the military, but not something I intended to do. My biggest takeaway from the military was learning a respect for the order of things. I remember being in basic training in the military and having been a college student for 4.5 years, I once questioned the drill sergeant about why I should get down and push away Kentucky, and got a very good lesson in why I should do that, because he told me to. And so it was to learn to respect order and to respect the group supports. And he explained to me that the reason I should do what he told me to do was he wanted to know at that point whether I would obey orders in a very tough situation or start to question whether I should follow those orders. So I took away that when an order is given up from the chain of command, follow the order.
You were the CEO of 3 different companies that range from $25 million to $125 million in revenue. You were the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year with many other prestigious awards. What would you say were some of your biggest takeaways from some of those things and experiences that you had throughout your life?
I'd tie that into my military service. And running an organization, leadership is about example, for one thing. It's about involvement, for another thing. So my takeaway was, if you want to accomplish great things, you don't do those on your own. You accomplish those through the people with whom you work. So always making sure the people understand mission, understand their role in the mission, and have the training and the equipment they need to do their job. Most often you'll find that people, if they understand and they're equipped to do their job, will do it and do it well. And so that's a part of having vision as a leadership person, in my opinion, is to make sure you've done your part so that your employees or your people in whatever organization you're in understand what you're all about, how it needs to be accomplished, their part in it, and they're allowed to participate in it. And that's my big takeaway from those experiences running different companies in sizes from 250 people to 1,500 people. You still have to get to the people doing the work through a chain of command and make sure that you have articulated the vision you have as often and in as many ways as possible, so that it's clearly understood and that people know how to plug into that and help that happen.
What inspired you to start VetsNet then? Because a guy of your caliber, being in the positions that you were in and all the experiences that you had, You know, you could have obviously went out there and probably done something different, but you decided to start VetsNet. What inspired you to start this organization, or how did it get started?
Okay, so I'll be clear that I didn't start the organization. I had semi-retired and decided I didn't like anything to do with that because you don't have enough involvement with people. And so you can become unfocused if you're not focused and working with people to make some things happen. VetsNet was actually started as a part of the Milwaukee Homeless Veterans Initiative. And that organization has been live in this community this is the 10th anniversary of MHVI. And in their experience over the years, MHVI's board of directors saw that many veterans were falling through the cracks. There were things that were not part of MHVI's mission that needed to be addressed with veterans. And so they started VetsNet under the auspices of MHVI to test the theory that there are so many things not being done for veterans, or services that veterans are not being offered that they qualify for, that we needed to start an initiative to, once MHVI, who furnishes a homeless veteran's home, once a home is found for them, what are the other things that need to be done for that veteran? And is that really a credible theory that there are things happening that veterans aren't being served? And so in 2016, MHVI started the VetsNet initiative under MHVI. And I was the first executive director of VetsNet, hired in late 2016. But in that first 9 months of its existence, VetsNet served over 400 veterans and veteran families in crisis of various kinds, from homelessness to joblessness, to need for counseling, need for financial assistance for many other things, or any range of things, home repairs, etc., that were not part of the scope of MHVI's mission. So the theory was tested and proven, and the game plan was from the beginning that if it were tested and proven, then it would be spun off into a separate organization, for the reason that MHVI is a direct service organization working with veterans. VetsNet, on the other hand, is not a direct service organization. We're a collaborating organization. So it was our job to develop partners. So when we discovered these needs that veterans and veteran families have, then we know the right resources to access to bring those resources to the table to help these families.
Sure. So do you have statistics out there on how many veterans and families are in assistance for the things that you guys are offering right now?
We know that thus far, in the first 19 months or so of our existence, we have served almost 900 veterans and veteran families.
Wow.
One of the reasons that I think the number is as large as it is, Brian, is that because a very high percentage of our veteran population do not qualify for federal VA benefits, and in many cases also don't qualify for state veteran benefits. So our task has been to develop resources to help any veteran. We really don't care about their term of service, how long they served. We do not make a decision based on the type of discharge they have as to whether or not they deserve to be served. If they wore the uniform, then our game plan is to try to find resources for them. So our partner organizations cover every aspect of services, from human services, including the VA and the WDVA, who are very big partners for us. Other veteran-centric organizations like the Center for Veterans Issues here in Milwaukee, the American Legion, the VFW, and other VSOs. But we also are forming partnerships with community organizations like Hunger Task Force and other organizations, Sojourner Family Peace Center, etc. And those are not veteran-centric organizations, but they are human services organizations. So our game plan is to develop partnerships across the full spectrum of government, private, nonprofit, etc., just to bring the services needed to the veterans.
You're bringing all these resources together for veterans so they don't have to leave your facility. How important has that been?
Well, you know from hearing the stories yourself that there are veterans, all the stories of veterans who've been to various agencies. Maybe they qualify, maybe they don't, but they've been told no here and there, and that's discouraging. So being able to hand off a veteran, for instance, who's looking for a job, and we have the Department of Workforce Development veteran service officer here in the building 1 day a week, and they are also next door at the County Veteran Service Office 2 days a week. So 3 days a week right here in a 1-block area. A veteran who's looking for employment can be handed off immediately to someone who can help him. The same is true for when the VFW is here doing outreach. The Department of Workforce Development, the VFW, Hunger Task Force, and other organizations who come in and keep hours in the building, we're able to triage the need and meet the need much more effectively if the partner is on site with us.
Some of these veterans, you know, depending on the situation that they're in, might not have transportation and stuff like that, so that's a huge need that you guys are filling for them. Next question that I have is what's the vision of VetsNet? Part of the slogan of VetBizTV is aim, execute, advance. So what's your target? What's the vision of VetsNet? Where do you see it going from where you came from, where you are today, and where you're going?
Well, primarily, our initial effort and emphasis has been in the Milwaukee area, and I'm going to say in the 7-county area from Kenosha around Milwaukee to Port Washington, because that's where the heaviest concentration of veterans in Wisconsin is. However, we are the Wisconsin Veterans Network, and so we've begun to develop a network of partners across the state. We've received calls both by phone and through our website and via Facebook from veterans in Rhinelander and Wausau and La Crosse and other places in the state. So we have a game plan this year to develop a network of key partners. I don't need, today in this area, we have about 45 partners. I don't need 45 partners in La Crosse, but we need 2 or 3 key partners in La Crosse so that when that call comes, we know who to call for the fastest response so that the veteran and or veteran family is not left wanting for resources because we're able to react more quickly. So this year we have a real emphasis on developing that network. We've begun to develop that network in Green Bay and in Wausau and in La Crosse. We need to develop that network in Madison and Janesville so that no matter where the call comes from in the state of Wisconsin, we're able to respond to it.
How are you executing that? How are you going out there and finding these people in the community? And then maybe, you know, if there's a viewer watching and they're in some of those outlying areas, how can they, you know, help you in what you're doing here today and they can be part of the organization?
Well, it becomes much easier for us because there are networks of veteran resource groups in every corner of the state. So we go once a quarter up to Concordia University in Green Bay, and that's where all the 40 or so veteran service organizations up there meet on a quarterly basis to talk about resources needed and needs that have been met and things that they see on the horizon that are going to need to be met. And so we've developed about 6 key partners there. If you go over to Wausau, and there's a very good veteran resource organization over there, and if you ever meet a guy by the name of Gil Holcomb in Wausau, he's the guy who said to me, if you have a need in Wausau, call me directly and I can plug you in very quickly. So it's that way that we're developing 2 or 3 key people in each area so that we can move quickly when need presents itself.
Totally awesome that there's people out there who are open to those ideas, you know, and helping you grow the organization outside of Milwaukee. What's the last portion of Aim Execute is advance. So what's your plan to scale, to grow? Are you looking to open up offices on those outlying territories, kind of like this one here?
Well, as you know, real estate is overhead. And currently we're blessed to have the facility we have because of a benefactor who charges us nearly nothing for rent to use this facility. And so we're not planning to open offices in other areas of the state, but to be accessible via social media, website, etc., to every area of the state, to every CVSO in the state, to develop a relationship so that that county veteran service officer, which is mandated by law in Wisconsin, every county must have one. If they have a need and don't have resources or can't find resources where they are on the ground, that they have a pipeline directly to us to meet those needs and find those resources. This year, in addition to developing key partners in every area of the state. We have put an emphasis on the veterans of past generations like World War II and Korean War and Vietnam War veterans, and how we can bring services to the table for those veterans who in many cases are aging, they have health-related needs, they may need interim housing or long-term housing for their needs, and the financial pressures of those kinds of needs being brought to bear on families is creating stress in those families. Those are the veterans who generally came home, Brian, and went to work. There weren't a host of benefits available through the VA or anyone else at that time for them. So they built a life and had a family and retired, and now in these later years, they may be eligible for benefits which they never accessed. So our plan is to take veteran service organization partners to the communities and to have larger group meetings, the first of which will be, in fact, April 10th in Waukesha, and then a later one in Milwaukee on April 19th, so that we can have the American Legion, the VFW, the DAV, and the VA itself and the CVSOs available to answer questions about how you qualify for benefits if you're in those kinds of needs, and then help them through the application process, because it's a complex process. So if you have an 80-year-old veteran and that family is experiencing financial stress because of the needs, health needs, and or the housing needs that family has, then we can help them determine quickly if they qualify, and then if they do qualify, how to access the benefits. So that's a big part of our game plan for 2018.
That's something that you really almost forget about. You know, me being a younger veteran, you know, I don't think about those types of things down the road, but great point about the veterans and World War II veterans and Vietnam War veterans that, you know, they're coming up on that part of their life where they don't have the finances to get an in-home care person or something like that. So what's the biggest issue you're seeing, you know, within your organization right now? What's the number one reason why vets are coming in here, and how are you helping them with that situation?
I would say there are two, and they're almost neck and neck in terms of the need. One is homelessness, or the risk of homelessness, as a key driver of services that many of the organizations we work with are trying to bring to the veteran community. And the other one is joblessness. So it does little good for us to find an apartment, for instance, working with CVI or some other agency for a veteran who is homeless. And our task is to try to assess, why are you homeless and what can we do to get at root causes of things. And generally speaking, a lot of that is driven by the fact that they don't have work. And so we have forged working relationships with at least 7 agencies, including the Department of Workforce Development, to help quickly place veterans into jobs or into training for jobs that they could be qualified for. Wisconsin is a growing economy, and there are many job opportunities becoming available, and it's our task to help a veteran who needs work find that work or find the training to fit into that workforce.
That's awesome, because I mean, there's a lot of veterans out there who are having a tough time translating their skills from the military to civilian lives to find the training that might help them get the job that they want. You know, that's awesome stuff. What would you say has contributed most to your organization's growth up until this point?
Thus far, having a base of veterans to start with, and those veterans that were being served by the Milwaukee Homeless Veterans Initiative was a place to start. But from that point, building that 45 or so partner agencies here in the Milwaukee and surrounding area has now begun to create a stream of referrals from those agencies to us as they take on tough cases and they don't have the resources themselves to meet those needs. And in addition, we're beginning to see a greater and greater number of veterans being referred to us by other veterans that we've already served. So all working together now to create a almost constant stream of veterans coming in, or veteran families coming in various forms of crisis who need assistance. So we started out and averaged 25 to 30 veterans the first few months, and then 35 to 40 veterans And it kind of stayed consistently there until this month, or last month, March of this year, when the total was 56 veterans. So we see that whole referral network, both the one veteran referring another, other veteran and non-veteran agencies referring to us, because it's becoming more and more known that we're here and willing to take on any need.
I know you guys offer quite a bit of services, financial help, job help. What are some of those other services and homelessness, what are some of those other services that veterans might be facing out there that you guys offer them that they can come here for assistance?
It's interesting. One of the big things that has been a void, frankly, the VA, the WDVA, or no other veteran service organization generally addresses, except by direct request to an organization like VFW or American Legion, who have been phenomenal in responding to the request for even home repairs. So you have a low-income veteran or a retired veteran who doesn't have the resources, and they need home repairs. It may be a roof, it may be a porch, it may be, in a couple of cases, I've become almost the water heater king of Wisconsin, in at least 3 cases where a veteran family needed a water heater and they didn't have the resources to replace their water heater. So you form alliances with organizations like Home Depot or Lowe's, who are great veteran-centric organizations, have a very keen interest and support veteran causes, and other organizations across the state who can have maybe the dollars to buy the water heater, and Lowe's or Home Depot step in and say, we'll install and we'll provide the materials to install at no cost to the veteran. And that is one of the key things for us. We will not partner with any agency for which there is any cost to our veteran. So if we have a veteran who needs financial counseling, just help me understand how to budget and manage my money. We have 2 or 3 agencies that will help us do that, and they don't charge the veteran for that service.
What's one thing that you would like to tell our viewers about VetsNet that they might not even know about, or that you want to try to get out there and share with these veterans that they're not even aware of? What's one thing that you can think of?
I would say the key thing is, if you are a veteran or you are the family member of a veteran, and there are needs that you have no idea how to meet those needs, we may not have an idea either until the need is presented to us. But the one thing we have a willingness to do is to admit that I don't know, but I will call until I find an answer. So that if you have a veteran who is in need, or a veteran family in need, then I would encourage you, please call us, 414-257-3624. Go to our website, which is Wisconsin Veterans Network, wisvetsnet.org, or our Facebook page, and communicate with us, identify the need, and then we will reach out to help you find the resources to meet that need.
That's awesome, Quentin. I want to thank you again for your time today. Phenomenal stuff. If you know a veteran out there who's in need or might need help in any way, shape, or form, you just heard it from Quentin. If he doesn't have the resources, he's going to go out there and find the resources for you. And he's not going to charge you anything or anything like that. This organization, I've had a chance to meet some of his staff. I see what they're doing here within this organization. Phenomenal stuff. But if you know of any veterans out there who are in need of any of these services, reach out to Wisconsin VetsNet. We will put the link up there for their website where you can go visit it. And I want to thank you again for watching VetBizTV. This episode of VetBizTV is brought to you by the Star Group, Insurance and Risk Solutions, serving and protecting veteran-owned businesses. The Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Our mission is your success. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of VetBizTV. We really do appreciate you watching. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below. We'd love to hear your feedback. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.vetbiz.tv. Just hit the subscribe button. You'll be informed of all of our newest episodes and content coming out. Again, I want to thank you again for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.